It's safe to say at this point that the 2010s were the heyday of superhero movies. Hollywood studios could place low-risk, ultra-upside bets, and audiences flocked to theaters, even if the vast majority had never heard of a rocket raccoon or a bodyguard named Katana.
This is Katana! She's got my back!
Who?
Flash forward to 2023, and superhero films are no longer so invincible. The Marvels just earned the distinction of the lowest box office run in MCU history. And if you heard that last sentence and thought, which ones are the Marvels again? You've proved my point that much more. So today, alongside my trusty AI Fanda and Daniel Parris of StatSignificant.com, we'll explore the rise and fall of superhero films, what drives their box office performance, and whether Marvel and DC can recover their high-flying ways. This is By the Numbers. In the 50s and 60s, superhero content was considered low-quality pulp targeting juvenile audiences. It was all just silly, harmless fun. Think Adam West's Batman 66.
What has yellow skin and rights?
A ballpoint banana.
Right.
Then in 1978, Warner Brothers released its first Superman movie, praised for its then state-of-the-art effects, Christopher Reeve's performance, and John Williams' legendary score. That film's financial and critical success legitimized the genre, demonstrating to studios the enormous commercial potential of comic book characters as intellectual property, at least to DC. It took Marvel a while to catch up.
Pull over the car. I am going to get sick.
Flash forward to the early 2000s, where breakthroughs in visual effects gave filmmakers the tools to bring the powers, battles, and settings of superhero lore to the big screen. The genre's output peaked between 2016 and 2019, with an average of 6 superhero films per year during that period. From 2000 to 2019, the genre also saw a boom in financial performance as average box office grosses soared. Comic book films grew and grew, each performing better than the last, until they didn't. At first glance, one could blame this regression in average revenue on a post-pandemic decline in global box office, but there's more at play. 6 films have crossed $1 billion in worldwide ticket sales since 2020. This list is notable for 2 big reasons. 1, movies can still gross over $1 billion. The world still wants to go to the movies. But 2, only one of those movies was a superhero film. So, if Marvel and DC can't blame all their struggles on a deflating global box office, who or what is to blame? The inflection point appears to be Avengers Endgame. Story-wise, it seemed like a fitting end to Marvel's cinematic universe, and though the MCU carries on in theaters and streaming, it may be seen as the beginning of the end. For one thing, post-Endgame superhero movies have declined in quality, at least in the eyes of critics. Looking at average critic score, we see Marvel and DC films gradually grow in quality from 2008 to 2019, with Marvel plateauing in 2018 and 2019, the years of Black Panther and Endgame. Following that year, both studios experienced a relative decline in acclaim, with DC seeing a sharp drop-off. When we look at the past 2 years of superhero films, we see mixed critical and commercial performance from Marvel and some truly lousy movies from DC, highlighted by Black Adam, Shazam 2, and The Flash. And sure, you may be thinking the critic evaluations don't reflect fans' taste, but that's only true up to a point. There is a meaningful difference in audience turnout contingent on quality. Fanda?
Scanning. Displaying results.
Graphing box office gross and film critic scores for all superhero films, we can chart a trend line between the 2 variables. For every 1 point increase in average critic score, we see a roughly $5 million increase in domestic box office. Whether that insight is revelatory or painfully obvious, it's clear that Marvel's dip in acclaim and DC's significant quality declines likely factor into each studio's faltering box office performance. That said, shifts in critical praise may reflect boredom as much as they do any degradations in storytelling. Believe it or not, consumer tastes change over time. Remember disco, sitcoms, hoverboards? The Marvel Cinematic Universe is already 15 years old. What if its rise was an unrealistic trajectory for its future? Fanda, check Marvel's search interest over time.
Scanning.
Looking at the Google Trends data, we see Marvel search traffic gradually build from 2008 to 2019. In 2018, we see an acceleration of interest following the release of Black Panther and a significant uptick in traffic for Avengers Endgame in 2019. And how do you follow a movie as spectacular as Endgame? You really can't. Marvel search interest declined considerably following that release, with recent levels hovering in the range of their pre-Black Panther traffic. These declines are problematic for Marvel's parent company Disney because they're a public corporation that must continuously grow revenue until the end of time, or else its stock price will go down.
That's not a thing.
That's definitely a thing.
No, it's not.
Disney doesn't want another slow-building 10-year saga. Disney wants your money right now. And so Marvel's strategic direction is up in the air as it continues to lose brand equity, churning out content that seems to serve no purpose beyond filling out their new streaming service. Every decade or two, a paradigm shift occurs in the superhero genre. The campy Batman TV shows of the 1960s allowed us to see our favorite superhero in living color. The Superman movies of the late 1970s and early 1980s brought prestige and cutting-edge effects to the genre. The 90s movies mirrored the alternative rebellion that was happening across all pop culture at that time. Most recently, Marvel serialized its cinematic universe, capturing the excitement of physical comic books through their slow world-building narratives. But the wonder generated by storytelling innovations has a shelf life. The superhero films and television of the past are mostly anachronisms that viewers only hold dear for their nostalgia or camp value.
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car.
There will certainly be a next chapter of Marvel and DC cinematic universes. They're far too invested to stop now. But it's clear that the current formula of comic book filmmaking is delighting viewers less and less. Perhaps the time has come for a new genre to take its place.
I've been watching you ski. You're really good.